Yeah, this video is really long. At this stage in production, it's approaching 60 minutes. I want to try to cut it down to 40 minutes, but I have to be careful because some of these issues are really vital if you're setting out to be a champion or winning pro, whatever you plan to do with your pool game, even if you just want to up it a notch or two. Just so you know, I'm just telling you that so you're not sitting here, after a half hour thinking, when the hell's this guy going to shut the hell up? So I'll cut out the parts where I'm repeating myself and the parts that aren't exactly vital, but it's still going to be long. Just so you know.
So I was always in it for keeps when I was a little boy. And I was going to be doing this the rest of my life.
Yeah, here's a video I never wanted to make. See, the problem with making this video, and I knew one day I would have to make it, is the subject is depressing. And there's a good chance that whoever makes it is going to come across as a total whiner, a little wuss. And I certainly don't want to come across as a whiny little wuss. So, to balance that, I have a plan at the end of this video to show the opposite situation and what to do while you're playing great. It's the only thing I can think of to keep from being a non-stop trip into negativity. People like that, people are always looking on the bad side of life. You see it a lot in politics. It's, there's also a lot of good happening in the world, Anyhow, let's get on with it. Some of what I'm about to say here is liable to piss some of you off. And if that's the case, it's not the first time I've pissed people off. It is what it is. I want to tell it to you straight up. I don't like the word slump or rut because it assumes that there's some weird, mystical, evil force that's taking over your body and making you play bad. And that's such a load of garbage. There's a reason that all these YouTube video pool creators don't hit on subjects like this, and it's because it shows some vulnerability that they're not God's gift to pool, and they need you to think that they're great pool players. Otherwise, why would anyone go to them to learn anything about pool? Take a good look at that, man. Nature's little test. This is the topic that separates the men from the boys. I know what a good pool player is. I've been around this since I was 9 years old. I know what it takes. Damn. Y'all are getting a little pissy there, ain't you? It's a subject that kind of pisses me off, so, forgive me if I'm a little irked here. There's good news about playing bad, but only if you proceed the right way. Alright? When you start playing better, this too shall pass, all that good stuff. If you learn the right lessons, if you fix the right things, you will come out of this a better pool player than you were before you went in. Now, if you don't do anything to fix it, and you subconsciously adjust something that wasn't broken to begin with, you're gonna stay a bad player. You're just gonna learn to live with playing badly. And I know you don't want that. It doesn't even matter what level you're on. I know you don't want that. I know you want to progress. So, in order to progress, you're going to have to figure out what you're doing wrong. And a lot of times it's a mental issue, but sometimes it is physical, and sometimes it's a mental issue that's causing physical issues. And sometimes it's physical issues causing mental issues. Yeah, it gets a little complicated. The first thing you should do is stop playing competitively. And I know that's a little impossible for some of you guys because you're committed to league and stuff. And go ahead and play your league and just get through it. But if you find yourself playing matches that you're not committed to and trying to play through, bad play, what it's gonna do is it's gonna keep it feeds off itself. So your confidence is low, and so you play bad, and then your confidence gets lower because you're playing bad, and this is why people call it a rut and don't know why they feel like they don't have control over it, because it gets worse instead of better. If you want to make it better as fast as you can, you're going to have to figure out what it is. And in order to do that, you're going to have to break away and take a break from what's bringing you down even worse than you were. And that's playing competitively and losing. Yeah, I'm not saying stop playing altogether and take a vacation to Hawaii. Although, if you can afford to do that, that's not a bad idea, too. You can include that in your rebound plan. That's what we'll call it, a rebound plan. Basically, what I'm saying is take some time for yourself, just you and a pool table. And a great tool for you to have is a camera to videotape yourself. Not to make YouTube videos, but to really analyze yourself. And this is a hard thing to do. We don't really see reality. We don't see ourselves the way other people see ourselves, even when we look at ourselves on video. That's a real skill to be able to do that, to be able to critique yourself and see you not as yourself, but as someone else. And there's also the factor that you might see someone on video yourself in what appears to be perfect. Everything's right, your basics are right, you're not jumping up, you're not twisting your wrist, your bridge is solid, everything is right in your basics, but you're missing balls. In that case, and this is hard to see. It's hard to see ourselves making physical errors. We're busy looking at, number one, the pool balls, and we're seeing away stupid shit like, is my hair screwed up, or what do I look like, or this outfit looks stupid, why did I wear those shoes? That's the kind of shit we see. We don't see a stranger pool player, we see ourselves playing pool. Anyway, it gets a little complicated in that subject right there, but a video camera is more apt to help you see yourself as someone else, but it's a difficult thing to do, that's what I'm saying. It'll help you more than trying to figure out what's wrong while you're actually playing, because we're not looking at things like our stance, Is our head level? You know, it's hard to tell while we're doing it. It's hard to tell what's wrong. Safe to say that it's either a mental issue, a physical issue, or both. And mental issues would be things like confidence and concentration and focus and determination, nervousness. And of course physical issues would be things like stance and bridge and stroke. Whether your head's cocked to the side or you twisting your wrist, stuff like that. Those are the things that are easy to pick up. If it's a physical issue, you can get a better player than yourself to watch you for 5 minutes and determine if you're twisting your wrist, if your stroke is straight, if you're getting down on the ball right, if you're stepping into the shot, if you're seeing a line. Is your bridge solid, stuff like that. Most often it's a combination of both. Alright, so how long have you been playing bad? You're not up to your potential, and you know what your potential is. I can't tell you what your potential is, but you know when you're playing bad. So on the day you started playing bad, what happened to you throughout the whole day? What did you eat? Did you drink too much? Did you get how much sleep did you get? Did you get demoted at work? Did your girlfriend tell you she hates you? What happened? And did you start playing bad in the middle of a match? And did it just seem to come out of the blue? And what was that match like? Was your opponent playing great? These are all issues. You're gonna have to go through the whole day, and maybe even the day before that you started playing bad, and sit down with a piece of paper and a pen, and figure out everything that happened to you. And this relates to what I'm gonna say in the last part of this video, to balance all this, pissiness and negativity and just this issue that nobody wants to deal with, but is inevitable and happens to every single pool player. Yeah. And there's a good question to ask. If it happens to every single pool player, what do the pros do when it happens to them? There's something you should look into. And there's more good news about playing bad. The more you correct what you're doing wrong, the less this is going to happen to you. So if you just started, playing pool last year, your days of playing bad are going to be a lot more than someone who's been playing for 20 years. So the better you get at pool, the less you deal with these so-called slumps, and the more consistent you get. And once you learn how to deal with this in a positive and productive way, the less likely it is to stick around, and the less likely it is to keep reoccurring over and over. Tenderphobia. There's a lot of pool players who actually do have a lot of talent, but can't play competitively, and so they don't play in tournaments and stuff. And a lot of these guys wind up making videos because there's no pressure on them. They can always edit their mistakes out and stuff like that. And, you know, they can play great on video, but put them in a pool tournament and they suddenly go to hell, especially when a good player is up there running ranks. And yeah, it's just evidence that it takes more than just being physically great. You have to have the whole package, you know. You have to be great under pressure too, and that's I think for a lot of people that's the hardest thing to deal with. You're gonna have to work on it. I think the best thing to do there, I would recommend joining a league and getting used to playing competitively. And if you really are physically good, they're probably going to put their best player on you, and that will get you used to playing good players and playing under pressure. That's like the starting step for any player who wants to conquer the mental issues of playing pool. Yeah, sadly, I mean, you could really absolutely be the greatest pool player that ever existed, and no one ever knows about you because you can't do it competitively. It's kind of a sad reality. And they play great when they're playing people they know they can beat, but, you know, put a local shortstop on them and they can't make 2 balls in a row. You gotta work on it. How do you work on your mental game? Well, there's a lot of ways, but I'm not really going to get into it because I don't want this video to come across as a, you know, a self-help book. There's a lot of literature written on conquering your phobias and your mental issues and your confidence issues and dealing with high pressure situations and pulls high pressure, especially when people are watching, or especially even more so if you're losing your dang money. So yeah, you know, after a few times of losing serious money to better players, you know, sometimes they aren't better players, they're just more mentally tough than, you know, you. I've seen terrible players who had more confidence beat great players who didn't have any confidence. And it's always like, what the fuck? What the hell happened? What is wrong with you? You're supposed to beat that guy all day and all night, and you lose to him. So we can conclude this part of the video by saying it's going to take more than being physically great.
So I was always in it for keeps when I was a little boy.
Stop bitching about it. Stop whining about it. Just fix it. If you're playing good players, and I assume you are if you're a good player yourself, and every one of those good players knows that you're a good player and you're struggling right now, and they know that because they've struggled themselves. So you don't have to feel like you need to explain anything. And the more you bitch about it and feel sorry for yourself, the more confidence you're giving your opponent. I've mentioned that in one of my videos. I used to play really good when I was angry. I was really pissed off, especially if I was pissed off at myself. But I'd look for things to be angry about. And I was playing so much back in the just because my confidence was higher and I had that killer instinct come out of me when I was angry. But it it was getting into my like everyday normal life with family and friends and you know, the real life that we have outside of pool. And yeah, I was just becoming this altogether angry person. But it was working for me because I was winning. I was like, well, I guess I'm just meant to be an angry person because I play great pool when I'm angry. And when I got older, I realized all the damage I had done, and I regret being that person. It's really no fun going through life an angry person. So I had to come to terms with it. It was affecting my business and everything else. Yeah, I didn't want it. You know, no matter how great you're playing and how much you're winning, it's no fun being angry all the time. And I couldn't separate it. That was my big problem. I couldn't say, okay, I'm going to be an angry pool player, but a happy person. It didn't work that way because pool back then was everything. I wanted to be a pro player, and I figured, well, I have to be angry because that's how I play good. So you get this reputation as a dick, you know, and women pass on you, and you find yourself sitting there by yourself nursing some drink, and hey, you're the winner, but you're a dick and nobody likes you. And if a girl does come up to you, it's like, hi, dick. I heard you're a dick. Why do you have to be such a dick? You get that kind of thing. So, I'm not a dick. Maybe I am a dick. So yeah, I don't like this person. I wouldn't walk up to this person and talk to him because he's a dick. He's a great pool player, but he's a dick. Earl Strickland sleeps on somebody's couch who doesn't even like him. You know, he spends his time in his own head with, like, I'm sure he has friends, but I'm sure even his friends are like, I can't stand to be around this guy. And you don't want to live like that. You don't. Because there's a lot to be angry about in the world. And it goes on forever. So if you're that negative person that feeds off that anger and uses it to their benefit, it's never ending. I mean, you can be angry about a gazillion different things. So there's always, you know, there's always that article writer or that newscaster feeding you more things to be angry about. It takes a stronger person to find the good in the world and the good in people. And that takes real strength. And learning to win with the mindset of being a good person can be really, really, really difficult. I've been playing in a local, well, it's not really local to me. It's about 60 miles away from the house. But I'm making a trek every Sunday night. 2 weeks in a row, I won their 8-ball tournament, which is just like a $10 hot shot tournament. And on the third week, which was 2 Sundays ago, as expected, one of the best players in Tennessee gets in. I drew him in the second round, and he beats me. And he played good. So, but I made my way through the loser side, and we meet up again, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. This is a one-day tournament, and they had 42 players, and it didn't even start until like 7 o'clock. So it's going late, and we meet up again in the finals, and I don't want to split because there's like 10 people hanging out wanting to see this match. And it's a race to 3 8-ball, non-handicapped, of course. I don't play handicapped tournaments. The guy's capable of, running a 3-bet, and it's winter breaks. So I mean, if I lose the leg, he's liable to go 3 and out on me. And to make a long story short, I won the leg, and I jumped out ahead of him, 1-0, and then I broke dry in the second rack, and he puts a 2-pack on me, and then he dogged a relatively easy shot, and so I win that rack, and it's 2-2. I broke, and I ran up to the ball before the 8-ball, and I get bad on it. Had a horrible roll on it. It was like half my fault, half the poor guy's fault. And this is the first set. We didn't make it to the second set. So I played safe on that ball, and it was like the worst safe in the history of poles. It's hard to play safe in 8-ball because, and that's why you never see the pros do it. In 9-ball, you're just trying to, freeze them from hitting one ball on the table. But on 8-ball, you play safe. He's got 7 balls to swing, and it really makes it difficult. But I had to try it. It's just going for the shot would have resulted in doom, and I wouldn't have been able to get back on the 8-ball. So I dog a safety and leave him wide open. And he walks up to the table and says, "What a nice guy." And it did something to my head. It really. And it goes back to being known as, the dickhead pool player. I used to be just like this guy. And so now I'm seeing something in him that's reminding me of myself, and the whole thing just screwed my head up. And he went on to win the tournament. He ran that rack, and it was over. So 3 days later, it's a Tuesday night, and I'm playing a guy. There's a good local player at my own, forum. I beat him probably 75% of the time. Suddenly it's like I couldn't pick up. He beat me easily, and I was dogging simple ass shots, and I was just playing terrible. I mean, just playing god awful. And you see kind of a reflection of how I played that night in probably in my last 4 or 5 videos. I can see a big difference in my last 4 or 5 videos than I can in my actual game. But I didn't associate it with what happened Sunday night. And I couldn't figure out what the hell I was doing wrong. And I couldn't ask him for his help, of course, because, he's my opponent, and we're gambling. So, what the fuck? What's going on here? So, my head was screwed up, my confidence was down because of getting second place in that Sunday night tournament. But I really had to decipher, you know how I record before and after. If I'm left there by myself, I record my game and I stick them on YouTube and analyze them. And so I was doing that on my own with about 2 hours worth of footage. And there is nothing wrong with my physical game. There's nothing I was doing physically, but I knew something, it had to be mental, because there's nothing physical. And I finally associated it with that night, and it kind of left me wondering, well, if that's all it takes to beat me is some good pool player also happens to be a shark, you know, and that's to say nasty little things to other good pool players in order to screw their heads up. And how fragile am I, you know? And so that brings all that self-doubt, and the confidence plummets a little further down, and with each missed shot, it goes further down. So, how do you fix it? Thought process in my head every time I don't, you know, play up to my potential is, why did I waste my life doing this? If I had spent all this time and energy becoming, you know, a pediatrician, I could be saving children's lives. Here I am, an aging man who has wasted his life on a dead end. All these horrible thoughts, they destroy you. They destroy everything about you, not just your pool game, but all levels of your confidence and everything, business. So it's like to get into pediatricians have to deal with this shit. You spend years and years and years becoming a doctor, and you're a great doctor, or a great astronaut, or a great architect, or a great whatever. And everybody loves you. What the fuck did I do in my life? What kind of loser dedicates their entire life to this dead fucking end? What the hell kind of stupid shit is that? You should have at least dedicated your life to being a tennis player or a golfer or something with fucking money in it, with good people. Here I am, losing to some guy I know he can beat. But so what? Even if I beat him, big fucking whoop-de-doo, a little tournament in the middle of nowhere. Yay me. So these horrible thoughts, which are completely normal and natural, to do nothing but bring you down more and destroy your confidence more. And so you get stuck in this, not a rut, but it's a self-defeatist kind of trap. It's breaking out of the trap is the issue. Okay, it's time to fill our head with merry thoughts now. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. People get to this point and they make a big mistake in saying, oh, you need to be tough. You need to toughen up. The honey bunch is not even the toughest there is. There's no one watching this who's been through more shit than I have, man. And I will bet on that. No, I can't say that. There's people liable to be watching this who's been through wars and watching their parents die, horrible, terrible stuff. But I will be happy to sit down and have a beer and compare war scars with you. What do you do to fix it, John? Shut the fuck up. Quit beating yourself up. If that's what you call the process of being tough. Yeah, lighten up on yourself a little bit. It's just the damn game that you dedicated your life to. This is a dumb little game, little footballs. Stupid little game that you dedicated your whole life to and threw everything away for. It's a dumb little game, don't worry about it. So as I said at the start somewhere, it doesn't have to be, something that happened in a bull match or anywhere near a bull hall. Your confidence could be down because you're not making enough money, you had a bad day, you're tired, need nappy time. Mental issues are way, way more tricky and complicated because you can know exactly what it is, but that doesn't mean you know how to fix it. I wound up taking a few days off from pool, and during the International 9-Ball Open, between matches, they had an interview with a new school player named Tyler Styler. And he said a lot of things that hit home. He's obviously a product of great parents. And he's light years beyond his age as far as his mental capacity and his outlook and the way his philosophies and the way he sees things and his positive mental frame. And for me, it was all mental issue that was pulling me down, and I had to come to terms with making a decision of going back and resorting to my old dickhead self, or moving on as a more positive human being, not just in pool, but we're talking about pool, especially in pool, but also in everyday life. And just things like getting yourself around better, more positive people. Once I figured out what was wrong and what I wanted to do, I broke out of this self-defeatist mode that I was kind of getting trapped in. Started playing better. Once that mental load was off my shoulders, it kind of freed me to play my game and do things right. You're not going to win every tournament that you enter, and you're not going to run every rack that you break. Coming to terms with that is a big part of keeping yourself from defeating yourself. And no matter what you think or what they say, people aren't born champions. They have to work really, really hard at becoming champions. It wasn't my opponent sharking me. That's just what brought out my own weakness. A real true winner and champion is going to laugh at something like that. It's not going to affect them at all. But it affected me, and that's my weakness, not his. What's shameful for me about that whole thing and what screwed my head up was the fact that I once had to resort to those kind of tactics to win. So that whole thing just made me feel like a total loser, a total failure. It's like, oh my God, I used to be this guy. So it was like playing my old self. I saw something that I couldn't be, but not because he was a champion or he's a winner. It's in fact because he's a loser. And that's what screwed my head off. It was me playing my old self. You know, I mean, I could have resorted to his tactics right then and there, but I just got really quiet, confused. It's like, wow, I had to do that to people. What a shameful human being I was. I wasn't winning tournaments, I was manipulating people. Yeah, that it became just real introspective. It's like, wow, I was such a fucking loser. And I'm being that I know that I am physically that same mentally retarded human being. That's how I felt when I was playing. Like this piece of shit. Yeah. It's like, wow, this guy's gonna beat me by being a dick, not by being a great pool player, not by being a champion, but by being a dick. That's not a winner, folks. To think for a moment that I used to be just like this loser made me feel like a loser. And you can't play pool feeling like a damn loser. You can't. Ask any pool player. To play at an advanced level, everything has to work together. So, in those times when you're playing good and the game just suddenly feels kind of easy and natural, you should make note of your personal rhythm. Rhythm has a lot to do with pool. Some people's rhythm is a little bit slower, some is a little bit faster. But make note of your rhythm, and not just in pool, but in the rhythm of your walk and your talk and your breathing. Write these things down while you're playing good. So you're going to do the same thing that you did when you're playing bad, and go home from the pool hall and write down everything that you did that day before you started playing. What did you eat? How much sleep did you get? How much caffeine did you have? What you're thinking, what you didn't do, what you skipped doing, such as drinking like a fish the night before. Hopefully you took this advice when you were playing bad and you went home and you wrote down everything you did that day, and if you can remember everything you did the day before. The agenda here is to repeat the pattern of what's working, and eat the same food and get the same amount of sleep and think the same positive thoughts when you're playing good, and continue to do what's working and eliminate the things that are destroying your goal. The pros are experts at bringing that entire balance together, and amateurs vastly underestimate it. So if you're one of these guys who can play like a world champion one night and play like a total chump the next night, it's because you're not putting enough emphasis on this balance. You're greatly underestimating the balance that you need to maintain. If you ever get the opportunity to spend some time with a top level consistent pro, take it. And I mean real time, like, sharing a room with them in Albuquerque. And you'll see little subtle quirks in their lifestyle to where they might want to go out and buy that, bottle of Jim Beam and stay up all night and eat junk food or go out and party or whatever. They might really, really want that, but they're not going to do it if it's going to screw up their pool game. And they got a tournament tomorrow, and they're just not going to do it. They're going to sacrifice it. Where the amateurs is going to do it, because he's not associating all that, destructive lifestyle with their pool game, and they're not doing it for a living. The pro wants to win more than they want that bottle of Jim Beam. So it's a matter of discipline, and this is what you're going to have to adopt if you really want to make it to the top. You're going to have to make sacrifices, and it's it's no fun going to bed early and sacrificing these things, and everybody's out getting laid and partying and laughing and having a good time, when you're back in the room sleeping. But to them, getting that check at the end of the tournament or cash is a whole lot more fun than that. So they know to put all that off. They're just not going to do it if all that makes them feel sluggish and hungover, and then the 2 pots of coffee the next morning makes them feel nervous, and they're just not going to do it. They've made the association, and they're experts at that mental and physical balance in bringing everything together in order to play high-level, consistent pool. And, they know that you're seeing them as this wet blanket and this guy that's too damn serious. But they've learned, and they're seeing you as everything they don't want to be. They know you're going to get knocked out in 2 or 3 rounds. They know you're going to go home broke. They're hoping you have a good time because you're pretty much at the end of the line. It's not to say that you can't have a great time and get that bottle of Jim Beam and party your ass off. It's just not the right time. It's a whole lot more fun to go out and celebrate when there's something to celebrate, and when you have a pocket full of money. They have the discipline to put that off until the right time, and you haven't learned that lesson yet. So you're limping home broke and feeling like shit, and he's picking up his money and getting ready to celebrate and break out a bottle of Jim Beam, and he's off to the next tournament. So there's your choice. I don't want to preach at you, but it all comes down to how bad you want it, and if you're willing to make some sacrifices. So your success in pool, or in anything really, is determined not by what you do in victory, but what you do in defeat. And it's a lesson that can't be taught. And the greatest teacher in the world can't do it for you or even tell you what to do with it. It's something that you as a player have to live through and feel and determine what to do with it. Do you understand that? It can't take it away, and they can't lose for you and feel the loss and decide what to do in that moment of defeat. It's something that you have to deal with. And most people never learn this lesson because it can't be taught to them. They have to teach themselves. So every time you fail, you have to figure out why you failed. And if you're looking for someone to blame, just walk up to the nearest mirror and point your finger at it, and that's who's to blame. And you gotta proceed to fix it. But it goes beyond that. I think pool's most brutal and painful and lonely lesson is the final lesson. That you're at the gateway, you just might not realize it. And hopefully you make the right decisions at that point, and you think the right thoughts, and you realize that you're never going to learn how to win, consistently win, and be a real champion until you learn how to lose.
keeps when I was a little boy. And I always knew I was gonna be doing this the rest of my life.
Was a song and dance man.